Education and Training Best Practices for Charting Package Tutorial Series Video Number 3, Intraday Trading Utilizing the Workspace Alerts and Tools in your Intraday Trading Workspace. Now this does not have anything to do with your end of day or your intraday alert scanners that are one unique workspace on their own that you open up and you put in intraday scanners that show up in your alert log over in your other workspace that you're day trading from. Those will be explained in the next two videos. Video number 4 deals with the end of day workspace, scanners, alert setups, and the watch list you create from those. And video number 5 deals with the intraday workspace. We're running scanners intraday looking for crossovers. They don't have to be for day trading, they can be for swing trading, but it's still your daily intraday scans. The end of day are based on how the day closed, and the intraday could happen from anywhere from 9:30 in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, or anywhere in between. So those are going to be handled in separate videos, and we're going to talk about each of those scan tabs and what they're looking for. Video number 3 just handles our intraday workspace with our live intraday charts and the tabs that are in the market analyzers, the scanners located in those. Thanks for watching our video, and be sure to subscribe to our channel while you're here. And if you're not already a member of our Active Trader Setups trading package, be sure to check out the other videos that are available here on our YouTube training channel. And visit ActiveTraderSetups.com, where you can find out more about our trade setups, our trigger prices on the charts, multiple day price advances. Good for day trading and swing trading. We have 4 trade setups, 2 long and 2 short. Trigger prices are right on the charts real time before they trigger. You'll have a display like this will appear on the chart when you're 2 factors away from triggering a long or a short. In this case it's a long, saying we're 2 factors away, and if it's a short it'll say short watch. And then we have the next level up or down in the current level we're at when you're looking for that retracement alert and you want to get a confirmation on the reversal right on the chart at all times. Our package comes complete with pre-built charts, scanners, and training. You can scan for end of day, intraday, or just watch your charts for day trading or swing trading. We offer a free 14-day trial offer, which you really got to cram and study to get all this in 14 days, or we offer a 30-day. The 14-day comes complete with free data through an arrangement we made with a data provider to give you a 14-day free trial on their product at the same time you're trying ours. Also, you can do a 30-day free trial if you already have your own data plan that has historical tick data. You can use your data plan and we'll give you a 30-day trial. So head over to ActiveTraderSetups.com, take a look at our products page. There's a lot of the charts on there for you, as well as on the contact us. You can fill out a registration for the free trial offer. First thing we want to remind you of is you can have more than one workspace open. This is the intraday scanner where you load your symbols in and they come out over on your day trade alert log as well as here, and you can be in your day trading screen and those alerts from that other workspace we were in will show up here, scan medium, and then we have another tab here, 2 different scan tabs that come from that other workspace into this one, and then our alerts from this workspace all show up in these 2 tabs. Another item I wanted to remind you of is if you have another workspace open, and we're going to go down and we're going to close a couple of workspaces we have open You can save them if you want to. I generally save my work while I'm looking at the workspace. I do not save it when I exit. So I say, no, I don't want to save it. And you always get these pop-ups. These are referring to the alerts that were in the market analyzer in that workspace. It's a little misleading because it says if you close the market analyzer, they'll be removed. They're not removed. They're just not active anymore. Next time you open that workspace, they will still be there just as they're supposed to be. So you're going to press yes. You're going to get 2 of these boxes generally will pop up because we have market analyzer. We have 2 market analyzers, so you got 2 sets of pop-ups, one for each of those analyzers. I'm going to close one more while we're here. Go down to that intraday scanner. Just going to say close. I don't want to save it. And there's our pop-up on the alerts. And that only had 1 market analyzer, so it had 1 pop-up. And now that one has been closed as well. Right now I'm in the day trading quad 1 screen SMATR, and I also have open the one without the SMATR. I'm going to show you the difference in these. If you like to trade lower price stocks, they're going to be lower ATRs. On the bigger price stocks, the 50 and the 100 are probably swing trades. Some of them actually, the 50 can be a day trade. Something like Tesla, or maybe even Nvidia sometimes. And then the next levels down are your day trading levels, a 25 factor, and then you use a 10 factor for stops. In a case of lower ATR stocks, you're going to have this particular workspace is set up for the lower ATRs. That's why it's called SMATR. Small ATR, looks just like the other level, except for it has, instead of having a 10, a 25, and a 50, this one has a 5, a 10, and a 25. Still has your daily, your 60-minute, 30-minute, 15-minute, so forth. Now I'm going to switch over to the bigger ATRs, and you can see it looks exactly the same, other than now we have different algo factor charts in here. And I'm going to go back and close the other one again. Not going to save it. There's my prompt. I'll get 2 of them. And you notice we lost our data box. You can simply right click a chart, go back to data box, and it'll reappear. This video covers utilizing this workspace. Now if I'm trading, sometimes I'm looking for this setup on the 25 or the 50. I'm going to change symbols. And you can see, and I'll use the 10 as my stop sometimes if I'm in a long trade. So where ABV actually broke out 3 days ago, it's a lot of times will be on a bigger ATR, but it's really been grinding for many days. And so the 25 finally just broke the base. It tried to go up and hesitated and didn't clear. And this is really not a big enough run up to represent the rollover for the short. So really wasn't interested in the short here. I'm still interested in see what it's going to do. At the time this was going on, and you can see your dates right in this box over here, this top line. When I'm holding the mouse over each one of these lines represents a day. Right here, this was at 9:30 in the morning on the 2nd day of July. This was right here, same day, 2nd day of July. So the stock had been trying to go up, so I already know on my 50 factor chart that this is setting up. Nice sell-off. Once it crosses this line and I've got this nice shape, I'm looking for that reversal. So I don't want to go short on that chart here. So I watched this for a long setup, and when it gave the crossover, it was on the 3rd, day before the 4th, short session, closed at 1 o'clock. Had everything I want to see on a chart. Now this doesn't matter if you're day trading or if you're swing trading. This is what you're looking for on the chart. This is called a trend shift pivot zone. That's this red and green line. Well, first of all, to have a trend shift, we have to have had a trend. We've been in a downtrend for multiple days. It could just be one day. It could be multiple dots and sell off in 1 day period. it could look like this in one day. Now this is just a 10 chart for 2 or 3 hours there. But we definitely have our trend, and then we want to do a trend shift. You want to be able to look at a chart and draw a trend line, at least mentally, that here's our trend from here to here, and we've got a down sloping trend, and now we're trying to cross it. That's what you're looking for. So now we have a trend shift, and when it came up on the morning of the 3rd, before it triggered right here at $94. 2 factors prior, it would have been a 2x on the chart right over here in the corner, stating 2x long watch and exact value. Now, if it had given a value here, it would have given it up higher. So understand the projection video that's out there on YouTube talks about the projections changing. This is what's unique about our system, is we can give you a long right here, 2 factors up at $95, but our system is always projecting forward what's going to happen to this line. And is it going to indicate our long watch? If it goes down 2 or up 2 is what's going to change. So it keeps recalculating. So as it's falling, it's recalculating the long watch to a lower amount sometimes. In this case, I'm sure it probably did. So as it pulled back here, it pulled back. The first reversal will be 2 factors, and then each dot thereafter is another factor. So this stock's a 50 factor chart, actually pulled back a full $2. When it started back up, when it got right here, it gave a 2x long, which was 2 more factors up, or another $1 at $94 for the long trigger. Now when that took place, here's what you want to look at the bottom. This is a perfect chart. Everything you're looking for. It's already hinted that it's going to make a shift, even though it took it 2 more days. It might take it 10 minutes intraday on a smaller ATR factor type chart. But this is what you're looking for, is this setup. There's your pre-warning. You wait on it, and it's worth waiting. I will show you a couple of charts a little bit later in the video that took them a long time to make a turn. When this comes across, when it finally triggers right here, everything we want to see. One, when it plotted this final plot 50 cents before it got to the trigger price, it came in with our force alert in green. And at the time it did print here, we took the 2 yellow ones that show in the side of the chart right over here, and it crossed them simultaneously, indicating momentum. This is the only thing we scan for. If we get the crossover that doesn't include the double cross, it does not show up on your scan results, because we know that many times you'll get the double cross in a chop situation, like here and here. You did get the double cross, and that's okay, because it actually was trying to do a shift. It went back and revisited and didn't fail. You would go back and look at the chart, see it's still pretty flat looking, and you would move on to another stock. Now when it started up here and came back with the double cross again, I would rather have had the momentum from the force indicator in green here, and when it kind of didn't do a lot. It did go up most every day here, but it didn't do a lot. It finally broke out on the 6th, and then again on the 9th. Now I was in a swing trade for 3 days on this. I did not stay in for this day. I could have made more money had I, but I got out yesterday on Friday. This was a Monday, because of the China tariffs. I figured some news could come out over the weekend, gap the market down, and I had a good profit and I didn't want to risk it. Nothing wrong with taking your gains. But this chart down here gave me this setup for the swing trade. This is a day trading chart for this stock. It just hadn't had a lot of range lately, and that's why I just sat here in this base. Now sometimes when you get your chart in this position right here, you got this little spot up here, you know you're not, this little white arrow, you're not seeing the rest of the chart. You can press that white arrow and it'll bring it over. I had slid it over and just left it there. When this broke out on the 3rd, it broke out with momentum, it broke out with force, and it broke out coming out of a downtrend, a true trend shift. I actually tweeted this out and talked about it in our gathering room with some of the guys, and I actually took options on this stock on the 3rd and exited on the 6th after 2 more days up. Now you can utilize that same thinking on any algo chart for day trading. You have the same setup maybe on a 25. I only use the 10 for stops to guide me my way. If I get a lot of profit, I'll move over to a 5, because then I want to really, if I'm coming into a resistance area, maybe I'm coming into yesterday's high from down here on a big run, or coming into the close, that's what that yellow line represents, then I say I'm looking for a pullback right here, so I'm going to tighten up my stop, and I don't want to use the dime because I'm too far away from it. I'm going to have to let it go back 70 or 80 cents against me for that to be my stop, and that's a lot of money on your share size if you're day trading. So I'll use the 5 as my guide. I definitely won't take it just because the 5 says it's going to turn green or red, whichever the case may be, but I will definitely use that as my guide to tighten up my stop by watching the action around that line on a 5 algo. Now, what are the rest of these in here for? Well, this we'll talk about in the next video. SM medium and SM low, these are the bulls on scan, 60-minute, daily, and weekly that are coming from the intraday scanner that you don't even have to be looking at, that we had open earlier, and you load symbols in it, and then those alerts show up over here. And then your positions, if you have more than one monitor, you can actually take this, duplicate it, and then float one out into another window and move this over to a different window. I actually have one of these tabs right over another chart, and then my positions, or any long or short I'm in, you can load those right in here. If you want to keep them separated, this has alerts for both directions built into it, the long and the short. It's just an alert to say, hey, you might want to check your stop. Something shifted in your trade if you're maybe looking at something else. And these are audio, and they say reversing. I've taken this, I duplicated it in a new tab, and I'll just show you how to do that. And you slide it on over. We've covered this before in some other videos. So now I have 2 of these open. I can make this my long, and I can right click and rename it long position, make this my short, and then you can go into your alerts, and on the one that's shorts, turn off the long alerts. Those are for long positions, and you'll keep your shorts active. You just hit apply, and now you've got one for shorts, and you got your other one. You go in and turn off the shorts, and you got your longs, and you can have those separated. I'll close that back out because I didn't want to change the layout here, and I'm going to save this. The reason anytime I'm doing something in one of these workspaces, I will save it. I don't want to save it on exit. I want to make sure before I get done that I unload these symbol lists, especially in the intraday and the end of day scanners, the ones that have multiple tabs that are a longer term scanner. If you shut down with 100 or more symbols already saved in 2 or 3 of those tabs, that workspace likely will never open again. That's why we have backups in case you mess up and you save one full of symbols. If you open up one morning and your computer can't quite get going, it sits there for about an hour and it's all kind of locked up. It seems like it's locked up. That's most likely what's going on. You need a minimum of 8 RAM. You probably need 16. I never get to 16, but I do get to 8 sometimes. And you want a pretty fast processor. We're going to look at these tabs now. Before I get into the tabs, because that's going to be the bulk of everything else. What these other charts are, this is what I call the inflection chart. It has today's open on it, yesterday's high, today's high, the VWAP, yesterday's low, excuse me, that's today's low. The fatter line is yesterday's low. The lighter blue is yesterday's open, and it has a 25 and a 50, this line right here, overlaid on this chart. So it's giving you all that information when you're pulling back. Hey, I'm pulling into the 25, and here's the 50. I'm in an uptrend. Also at the bottom is the 25 and the 50 force, this line right here. You got red, yellow, green. Well, to separate them on the inflection chart, I've got red, yellow, green on the 25, red, white, green on the 50. So you can glance at any symbol, look right over here, and you're going to pick up where that 50 is, and the 25 as well. On the force alert, that's this green line right here. And you can see your inflection points. These other charts are inflection points as well, but they're on a longer time frame. This is a 5-minute chart. It's going back it goes back 78 bars. So this is yesterday's high when it made a new, or day before yesterday's when it made a new high. It left the old high plotted, made a new high, and then the old high, everything keeps moving up. In the same way on the lows, it makes a low. This low right here is represented by this pink line. If you've got a stock that's selling off hard and it's taking out all these levels, and you want to look for another level, where's it selling off to? This has the VWAP on it as well. I believe that's a VWAP. May be a 200 period moving average. I need to look at the indicators. You can go to right click indicators. These are all the indicators. These are very hard to put on a chart. I would not mess with them if I were you. If you don't want to see some of them, just click invisible and leave them on the chart. They're very hard to put on. That's a 200 SMA is what that orange line is. And this tells you right here in this right hand corner what the template is that's loaded in here. This chart works on any time frame. So this is the support and resistance, and if you move back when you're trying to figure out where a stock's selling off to, if it's selling hard and you broke down yesterday's high and you want to know where it's going, this will give you areas to look in. The bigger the time frame, the older that support level was. The 5-minute is 78 bars, that's 1 day. The 15-minute, 78 bars, that's 3 days. This is 6 days. 60 minutes, 12 days. You can see how this stock ran up, and when it sold off, it went back to a previous high from back in the past. Old resistance is what it was when it rejected there, and now once it's been crossed, it held up twice as new support. That's what these lines are for. I run these lines on a 1-minute chart with after hours as well. I like to see where a stock might have closed or opened pre-market if it's something that had volume in it. And I don't want to step into a trade 10 cents before the last place it failed at. I want to wait and see what's going to happen, because many times they fail again. So that's what these tools are for. Yesterday's high and low and all the information here, and this is longer term support. You've got 10, 25, and 50 charts. You've got 2-minute candles. I hit F5 to recalculate the script. I knew that chart looked like it wasn't right, to straighten it out. And then down here, same thing. This is a 2-minute candle plotted on the same exact chart instead of the dots. It's harder to read. Some people want to see the candles, so I put them in the system. If you're not using them, once you get your workspace figured out, you just get rid of them. You don't have to load them that way. This goes all the way back to the daily here, by the way, for bigger time support and so forth. Now on to these tabs. These alert logs get the information from the tabs. I have a hot list. This is not to load a lot of symbols in. This is to load the stocks you're watching, what you're focused on. That's why this is called focus alerts. If you're watching this stock and you're waiting on it, you said, man, this thing's about to break out. If it get a little more momentum, I'm interested in it. if you throw that symbol into this area, it calculates the 10 force, that's over here, red or green. That's what, if it's strong, that means this line is green on this chart. Then you got the 25, and it's showing you right now on ABBV it's weak. That's because it's red. And then we'll go over to Caterpillar, and it's showing strong down here on the 50. We'll talk about this setup later. You see, this stock was strong the day before on the 50. It ended the day strong, even though it hadn't turned it green. And also bear in mind, this has been a chop right here. This chart has not a lot of information for you. It's been sideways in a range, and if you look and see your higher high, lower high, lower high, low, higher low, higher low, higher low, what do you got here? You got a wedge, and it wants to break out of that wedge. You can visibly see that, or you can draw it with a trend line. So we did have a wedge on this, and I had this force at the end of the day. I had this strong on the watch. Actually did trade it some Friday on a smaller time frame, and then this was my trade of the day that I'm making this video. Caught this early. I already knew it was setting up to go long. It was already strong on the force. It crossed over, double cross, changed the color from short to long. Everything was intact. This was a huge trade, over a $2 move for a nice day trade. And I used these lines to schedule and time the getting out part on some of these other time frame charts as I ran into the previous day's high, and even further back than that. It was hitting some other highs that I had on several charts, and I was aware of that and kept myself from getting too much profit giving back. Excuse me, this is not Caterpillar loaded over here. I don't load this particular chart every time on these bigger time frames. I knew it didn't look right when I was moving back through it. I went back and found some old highs from other days and incorporated those into that trade as it worked along. And here's your shorter time frame. It was already on the 50 the day before. Now it's on the 50 this morning, and it actually had the double blue ones coming into the day on this 25. It closed with momentum. Now when you lose a blue one, that don't mean you're losing your momentum. This is really looking at consolidations. So when it breaks the consolidation, you get the two blue ones. Another way these will work is like right here. If you notice, this one had a blue one, and the lower was going up for a while, back down, up for a while. It's picking up momentum when you have a blue one at the top, and then the lower one, and you're in an uptrend, and the lower one pushes away as you're in that uptrend, you are gaining momentum. So right here, as this was in an uptrend, it's hard to see this 5-minute chart. Let me fix this without zooming in a lot more. We can't even get it to zoom out right here. I'll get it down here where you can see it in a minute. Now, a little bit more there. The blue one down there we were looking at, it shifted down, and it gave momentum more to the upside right there. And I'm going to fix this and get it back like it was. So right in here, as this shifted down, this was gaining momentum and ended up going up a little more. You take these tabs, you load your symbols in them, and what happens is that chart you were watching, you say, I need one more little something to tell me something. You don't want to forget about it. When it goes strong, force 10, 25, or 50, the alert will show right up here. Also, as a 1x25 watch alert. What will happen, this means there's a box right here that says 1x long or short, and when that appears on that chart, maybe you were watching something that looked like this and it was not even showing you when to get long. When that box pops up on the 25, only the 25, it will send an alert out as well that, hey, you just got an alert. You're 1x away, one factor on a 25 chart from going red to green or green to red. So that's what these are all about. Double X, this is one I use constantly. If I'm watching a stock that is in this setup, I've got a different chart here so I can show you this. I remembered this from today. This stock has sold off a lot this morning. Very, very hard. Lost yesterday's low, just continued, kept going down, kept going down, kept going down. And a couple of the guys were watching it, and they're like, oh, this is a bounce watch. I'm not a big counter trend trader, but if I can go down and find me a support level, and let me see if I can get this to load in here, then I get interested in this trade. We started watching this stock, and we watched this stock from way before right here. I think because when it was selling off, it gave this little nudge or bounce right in here, then sold off again. We didn't take any of this. This was the trade later on in the day when it got out of that morning choppiness, and this was okay little move, I think, but here was the real trade on this stock. Watched it. Constantly it's coming in. It goes up here and it gives you a 1x long or 2x long, going to be way up here, and then it comes back, and as it's coming back, we're projecting all the time, and it goes away, it comes back. So if you take and you place that one in this box, every time you get the green on it, it'll at least alert you. And if it happened to get the green on the 25 at the same time, it would alert you there too. But in this focus double X, now in this case you did not get a double X crossover, but if you had two yellow ones and you got the crossover going up, that double X cross is all this is. Like right here when this started back down, this is a perfect chart set up here too. Now this is just a dimer, but I'm going to show you how to read the chart right here while we got a nice clean chart. When you've got a stock that's changing direction, irregardless of what factor it's on, I don't want to trade on a 10, I want to trade on a 25 or a 50, but you may be trading a lower ATR stock. They all look this way. You've had this run up, and this was a case here, as I mentioned earlier. You've already got the blue one, you're headed up, and this other blue one joins it, then the direction that it's being right now just gained momentum. And that's what this did when it gave this big run. It gained momentum as it was coming back up here. It went to the force alert. It had already picked up the momentum, and then this stock turned and ran about $1, a little over $1, and then it went sideways for a while. This is the right here. If you break down and you go back and visit, this is almost a perfect setup. If you have a trend you can visibly see, this is what to expect. You're down here. If you go down over 3 factors below this line and turn it red, just straight down, expect it to go back up here before you get involved. If it's not over 3 factors, or it's 3 factors or less, you may get a pretty good run, and this will start coming down harder and you may run back into it. But this is a perfect little setup. Going down below the green, it starts back up. You can almost count on it. And if I can line this bounce up, if I'm on a bigger algo chart, I may very well line this bounce up with a VWAP. Now that wasn't the same time frame. That was here. When this ran all the way up here at 12:05, it hit the VWAP. That's what this other chart is for. That's an inflection point. It ran into the VWAP. It also ran into this falling. This has got a 50 on it and a 25 on it. It ran into the red 25 falling. That was back over here, right in this area. That's 12:04. That's that same exact place right here. right here, this is actually a 25 plot on this chart. When it ran up to right here, barely crossed the red line, headed back down, it rejected VWAP. Even though it had gotten some force in it, it was going into resistance. If it had continued on up, you'd want to worry about it when it hit yesterday's low, which is right in pink on that chart, 156.26. In the case of this chart, we're coming down, we get the perfect retracement, then as it starts back down, it puts a box out here, it says 2x short. This is a 10, but if it was a 25, it'd be 50 more cents. When it made the crossover right here, now you can look in the box over here to the right, these are color coordinated as well. So you got trend shift pivot third from the bottom in green, and watch it turn red as I move my mouse. Right here is exactly where it took place at. Not on this plot. During this plot right here, it went red. Between these two, it crossed over. Now, bar closed right here, and that was the technical line of the short, was the dot. That was what was on the chart as a short watch. Posted right over here. When it crossed right there, what do we have? The bar prior, we already had the force back in our favor. Also, if you see the force as you're coming down in here, that's a good indicator you're going to get this bounce and it's going to rejoin you. If it does not rejoin you, you might want to hesitate on that trade. You want it to come right back in. In this case, you came right back in. You got your changeover, trend shift pivot from long to short biased. We got our double X blue one crossover, and we'd had a solid. See, back here you've got yellow, you got blue, you got yellow, you got blue. It's choppy. But this has been a good solid 2 yellow ones out in this right hand column, and when it shifted, it meant something. It meant it finally broke consolidation, and when it did, it got momentum to the downside. Now this is only a 10 factor chart, so that was only 40 or 50 cents. But if you get a 5 factor run, this is actually from right here, this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 factors, and that's a lot of what we teach. 7 factors on a 50 chart, this same setup, is $3.50. 7 factors on a 25, $1.75. From the break point, it was 1, 2, 3, 4 factors, so that could be a $1 move or a $2 move depending on the chart you're on, 25 or 50 factor. But that's what this double X shows you, is if you're watching this and you're waiting on it and you go look at other things and you say, well, I would really like to know if this thing ever sets up for the short, you can just throw that symbol in here, and no matter how much recalculating this does, because usually the double X lines up with the crossover as well, it don't have to. It doesn't. This does not show up because this went green to red. But when you've got a good shape of your uptrend, it generally will. And so as it recalculates what it's going to take to turn this green to red, then the time, if you set a price alert, your price alert may be 50 cents too low. It might have been correct here, but by the time it revisited here and started back down, it adjusted itself. This 2X will come back and give you that crossover alert right up here with sound. You can turn the sounds off if you want to. You give you with sound no matter what the price was. So that's why I like to use this. If I'm watching a stock that's consolidating 25, 10, even a 50, this covers all 3 levels. When I get that crossover, I'm going to get an alert if I'll load that symbol right in here. I don't load a lot of symbols. I may end up with 5 or 6 or 10 in here. Quick retracement alerts. We scan for retracements in the other intraday and end of day setups, and we have a lot more criteria where we want the dots to be in reference to the red line or green line. A retracement is when you got a stock selling off, it goes back, retraces, because many times you'll get this initial crossover, you'll get a run down a little bit, it'll go back and retrace, and then the much bigger move will come secondary. This is the safest trade, lowest risk trade in the system, is the retracement. You've already established you're back in the downtrend. You've got the force, and if you get that retracement, it goes right to your level. And that absolutely, if that lines up with some kind of inflection point, yesterday's low or 2 days ago low or something like that, as well as your line, that's even better. And if you can make this retracement and you don't have a box over here saying that, hey, 2 more factors up, this thing's going back green, it's even stronger. If you can get to here without having that box over here, like this box saying 1x or 2x, it's an even stronger probability that this is going to reverse and go back down. So when you can find that setup, retrace back to a line, no box, huge setup to continuation move with the trend. This is called a quick retracement. It's looking for this retracement. The reason it's called quick is it doesn't have all the other necessary criteria in there that we use on the big intraday or intraday scans that we want to be true when we're scanning a lot of stocks. We don't want a lot of extra alerts, so we want the best. So we have much more criteria in there. For this quick retracement, this is your focus stocks. This is that stock that shot up real fast at the open, and you're like, I wish this would pull back. I would be interested in getting in the stock if it pulled back. You can add it to this symbol list, and when it pulls back, it'll let you know with an alert. Also, up here where the positions are, I have swing trade, day trade positions loaded in here. So if you're a swing trader and a day trader, you can watch your swing trades as well while you're day trading. You'll have your alerts in here, and you'll be able to check on your positions and so forth, as well as get some alerts if you get a reversal start that might be worth your looking at. Also, this is where I find my swing trades. If I've got this 50 running up and I'm looking for that retracement to come back, it can be a 25 for smaller ATR stock, and you've got the run like we had on ABBV, like in this, for instance, right here. Now I'm already out of this trade. I like the setup so well, I went ahead and took it here. But what I look for is if I find something that's already way up here and I missed it, I will go over here and add that symbol to my swing trade retracement alert. I know when this goes off, and it tells me my source right here. What the source is, the instrument of course is your symbol, times, exact time that alert went off. The message is the message that's built into the alert. So what is on this line is what the message is. Most of the time it's the symbol, the name, which is the name of the alert, the entire name, and then the price and the time. Sometimes on the end of the day I don't put the price and the time because it doesn't matter. But during the regular trading hours, it does matter to you. If you see it, you want to know when it went off and what price it was that triggered it. That's what shows up in the message line. The source is the name of this tab. So if I look up, I got swing trade watch retracement. I know one of those stocks I was watching for the pullback to this 50 that I was interested in swing trading. That's exactly what you got here. You got a 25, a 50, and a 10. Up here you got a 25, a 50, and a 100. So those stocks that are running up that you're saying, if they pull back, I'd be interested. Many times I'll look at a stock that's running up, say, okay, I wish it would pull back for me, and I happen to look and it happens to be going to line up where the line's rising, and say, okay, the line's going to go up slightly a little bit more, and it's going to line up with a VWAP, or it's going to line up with yesterday's high. That will be a perfect place for them to meet. This pulls back, runs into yesterday's high, runs into the VWAP, and runs into this line, and you can well expect a high probability bounce right there. So that's all this is looking for, is this stock that's pulling back toward the line. It may not be at the line yet. It's made a pullback in the direction of the line for the retracement setup. Now what this means right here on your chart, every time a dot is plotted, that is the current price you see here. Now the price can continue up higher and not move the dot. You'll have the floating dot that is the actual current price after the closed dot. A closed dot is connected by the line. That is the algo, and that's what's right here. That's also what shows up over here in the closed column is the actual price of the dot. The last closed dot. The current one doesn't matter. Now, up in the corner here in blue, you also have the current price. You also have the algo level that you're on. Down here you have the spread. Sometimes I'll load a stock up and I'll glance over and it says 35 cents and I just go right on. I don't have to look at anything else. I'm not going to day trade that. I'm not looking for a 2-cent spread, but I don't want to find a 25-cent spread. I'm looking for the many times they're only 1 cent, but a lot of times there's 3 cent, 5 cent, 8 cent. That's fine. If it's a stock that I know, and I know the stocks I trade them a lot. It's good to have a group of stocks that you trade if you're day trading more often than others and know their personalities. I'll pull up a stock that I know the personality is. It can have a 35-cent spread. It might just have a 10-cent spread while it's sitting right on my decision-making line, and I might have opportunity to get in that stock. If it doesn't do that, then I can go on to the next stock. We will finish up with this upper area right here. Swing trade positions and day trade positions, they're only making bar movements back against your trade and when they send the alert off, and that's all that is. It's just in case you weren't looking, you'll know that it's something changed. Gets your attention, and it'll actually put a number up there, an indicator. It'll say okay if you're in the long. Well, it actually fills in the columns regardless if you're in a trade or not. But it says okay when it's still progressing up, and when it says long stop, then it's made a shift back against you, and an alert goes off, and you can look at it and say, oh, something's happening here. That's all it means, is it's made. Because many times you'll be watching a stock go up and it sits and it dances and it dances and it dances and it goes on up. It never plots another all go down, even though it sits there. Maybe I've sat in a stock for 45 minutes or an hour and then suddenly it ran $2 and nothing ever changed about the chart, but it was constantly moving the dot up and down and the price up and down, maybe even as much as 50 cents, but it never actually plotted another current price. The current price never changed because it never connected the lines, and so it always said okay until it did connect the line. I need to finish what I was telling you on this earlier. This is your current dot. So if you're watching this stock and it's sitting right here, this is late day. Now you wouldn't want to do it late day, but you're saying okay, I need to set myself a price alert, and you're watching and say next time it finally heads back up, I want to set my price alert. What do I need to set it at? That's this level right here. Remember, when you're headed down, it's one algo factor at a time. Your algo factor is right here. It's also at the bottom. It's also over here. If it changes directions, 2 algo factors. So the price that is right here, green zone retracement, that means it's designed for the pullback. This is a green zone. We have a retracement, and a confirmation of the reversal will be this price right here. If it's red and you bounce into the line, what is priced right here is a red zone retracement. It's going to be the trigger price, confirmed dot, connected, closed, headed back down. This stays on the chart at all times though, so you can utilize this at any time. If you're watching this stock even right here without maybe it hadn't plotted this yet, and you're like it just gave me the green force, so I know if it plots another I'll go up, it's going to, the green force is going to continue, and if I could just get one more plot up, I'd take this trade. That's your number right there. It's already on the chart. You don't have to figure it out. It's figured out for you. The less decisions you have to make while you're trading, the better trader you're going to be. At the bottom of the website, there's 3 or 4 menus down there. One of them says education and training. And second or third one down there says recommended study videos. All those videos have nothing to do with me or this charting package. They're just good principles to apply in trading that I thought meant something, and I put those together for especially for younger traders to educate themselves a little bit from. The first video is about 8 minutes long. It's a lady named Linda Raschke. She's a lot smarter than I am, and she makes two statements in that video. One of them is be consistent in your share size, because we don't know which trade's gonna work. And she's a pretty smart lady, and they take big trades, and she's telling you we don't know which trade's gonna work. We trade high probability setups, and we want to be consistent in our share size is her point. She don't want to lose on 1,000 shares and only make on 200. She wants to lose on 200, make on 200. Be consistent with your share size, whatever it is. It don't take a lot of shares a day to make a lot of money. Now, if you want to make thousands and thousands of dollars, it'll take a few more shares, obviously. I trade 200 shares every time, never think about it, but I can, by doing that, I allow myself to stay in these trades. A 50-cent pullback doesn't bother me, because I know the bigger picture. I'm after the bigger picture. I want the bigger trade. And so by keeping my share size smaller, I'm not sweating the pullback. There's always a good rule of thumb. I've heard a few people say, and you've probably heard this before, if you have to talk to God about your trade, you're trading too big. If it's selling off and you're saying, please God, let this go back up, you got too many shares. The next thing in our list here, this is a 5-minute, 10-minute momentum. It does not send out alerts, and this is not calculating algos, so it can stand a few more symbols. I will load this up with multiple symbols. I just loaded in the Dow 30, and we're going to let it load those up and see what they tell us. While they're loading, we're going to look at our next tab. 2550 force alert. That's pretty easy. That's the green and red line. If it's on a 25 or a 50, if it goes green or red, it sends an alert out. You can learn about the different alerts. We build alerts in the columns, and when you go to the columns to add an indicator, when you're in the columns, we've talked about this in a previous video, you have to go down to indicators, because you notice the folder that puts stuff on the charts is not here. You go down to indicators. I went not far enough. Type indicator. I want to add one. Add. It shows up down here. Then we click and we find our ATS trading system list of indicators. You see you got a power 1-1. You've got a force and a force 1-1. This is current bar. This is 1 bar ago. And the reason we do this, same thing with our trend shift pivot zone alert, which is your green and red line on your chart. The green and red line on the chart is the trend shift pivot zone. This is the pivot zone alert builder. It's the current bar and the bar before. The power builder is the blue ones at the bottom. It's the current bar and the bar before. And then the force alert is the green and red lines. It's the current bar and the bar before. Now the reason this does this is because Ninja's scanners don't work like I want them to, so I had all this custom built. I'm going to remove this and hit apply and OK. Now the reason we want to know 2 bars worth of information is we get the crossover alert that we came up into green. The next bar, as it moves around, may cause this to go in and out, and you don't want to get constant re-alerts. So what the second bar says is the bar before was not green. By building that into the system, we don't get double alerts, because you can have a stock that's running up on the blue power alert, and as it wiggles around, it's like on and off, on and off, on and off on the current bar. So when we want to crossover, we want to know that the prior bar was yellow and the new one's blue. So that's how we overcame that. We were having a lot of issues when we first started designing this, looking for this red to green crossover, and I would get the green and I'd get it again, and I'd get it again up here, and I'd get it again up here. Well, what had happened is the stock had pulled back some, not enough to plot another algo plot down, but enough to make this go from green to red intermediately, and when it would go right back to green, it would send a new alert out, and I was getting alerts way up here, wasting my time looking at scans I didn't need to look at. So we designed those to overcome that. NinjaTrader does not offer anything like that. So that is your force alert for the 25 and the 50. So what are you looking for here? You're watching a stock, it's plodding along here, and you say, if it would get some force, I'd be interested. If it would get some force, I'd be interested. You just load the symbol over here, and when it gets some force, it'll tell you. It'll also send an alert out. You can put several stocks in here. Don't overload yourself. If you got a watch list of 30 or 40 stocks and you want to load those up in here in the morning, you can do that. Pre-market, get them loaded, let it get through loading, because it'll say loading right here, and you don't want to move around and mess with anything until it gets through. Once it loads those up, you can go through and sort stocks by these columns and get the strongest stocks in the 50 to start looking at if you're trying to find things to trade. So you can put some extra stocks into this one. I wouldn't put a huge list. I would put maybe you got 5 or 6 earning stocks you're watching. Maybe you got a couple from yesterday you're watching, and you want to put those back in here. You can do that, and you can call that your focus list. You know, you can go to your tools and instrument list and create a new list just by saying I thought you could click add. Yeah, add, and you can create you a list, call it focus, and then put the symbols in there, and you can go in and take some out. You just click on them and remove them, and you can click in there and type, add another one, and keep your running list that you're watching all the time, your favorite list, so to speak. And you can put those in here, but you can do that a lot quicker in 2 or 3 different columns just by clicking add instruments, go down, find your list, and come over and put it right in. I have a mini list. If the market's going haywire, this is my go-to list. I don't need a lot of stocks. I just need a handful that I'm familiar with. Advanced watch alerts. We got it on 25 and we got it on 50, and that's it. This is just a watch list tab. You can take this and move it over, have your focus list in it that you want to go down and watch. You may have a separate chart, especially if you got 2 monitors, and you may have just a 25 chart off by itself, color coded to this, or you can change this color to purple, whatever you want to do. And just, you may want to arrow down through your stock list and have one chart that's just loading and you're looking at it. That's what the watch list for. The advanced alerts, a little different. This is one of my favorites after hours, is the advanced watch. This is the stock that is right here on this ABV chart. I'm going to stretch this out here. I call this my advanced watch alert. It's come up through the line. It's above the red falling line. Now this stock did go back down real hard the next morning there, gap down, and by the end of the day it was back up. But many times they will go up just like we looked at on the chart earlier on that VMW, I believe it was. It ran right back up to the line exactly, and then reversed, or like right here, went up and just didn't keep going down. I'm looking for that stock that's greater than the line, but it hasn't turned the line yet. So I got plenty of advance warning. I don't know if it's got a box on it or not. And I use this a lot on the bigger time frames when I'm trying to find stocks that are setting up that maybe a day or two to change the trend. If they've crossed the trend, especially if they've gotten out more than one factor, maybe way up here, they run a huge probability of pulling back to this line and then going up. And that's what that advanced watch is. And you have it on your end-of-day alerts. You have it intraday that has some more criteria in it. This has several criteria in it, and it's the fact that it's above the red line, and we want to look at the stock way ahead of time. This is a way ahead of time stock. You may find them in this list and then go add them to your double X crossover, because what happened right here, we were up here, we got two yellow ones down here. If we keep going, we don't know where it's going to trigger at yet, but when we get there, most likely it's going to give a double X cross. In this case, it pulled back, chopped around. That's a $2 move back down, and then a $2 move back up, and gave a double X cross. Well, right here it might have been predicting 95 or 95.50 for a green zone watch or long watch in the box over here, but by the time it did all this, it was only at 94. So it gave the double X cross. Didn't matter what the price was, it gave the double X cross, and that's what we were looking for. This can give you a list of stocks to watch ahead of time. Well, if you're day trading, you might be watching it on a 25 algo, this one here. If you're trading smaller ATR stocks, you might want to change this to a 10. You'd have to change them all, and that's another story of how to do that. So we've covered all of the alert tabs except for this one, and it was the one that was loading up for us. Still, it's through loading. Now, when you don't see anything, there's a 1 or a -1. That means we got yellow ones if you don't see anything on those stocks. If it says Momo top, Momo bottom, you got 2 blue ones. Momo top, you got 1 blue one. It's a stock that's probably going up or down. In the case, usually when you have the top one blue and no bottom one, generally it's an uptrending stock. We'll just load this one for fun. I ain't loaded this stock in a long time. But when you can find the double Momo, this is the 5-minute chart. This is a 10-minute chart. This is not an algo chart. You've got a stock that's got momentum in a direction. It don't tell you if it's long or short. And then I changed the color just so you can see the difference in the 10. It's still the same as 2 blue ones. Cisco's a low ATR stock, so it's going to take it a long time. Finally loaded the 25. Be a long time before it loads the 50. Cisco's something you'd be swing trading on a 25 if you had the right kind of chart. That was pretty choppy. And this is not the Cisco chart. It's not through loading, but our 5 minutes finished loading. So 5 minute had a blue one, and it's up. It ended up, it was heading up. It didn't have the lower one. And so it's kind of grinding its way to the upside. And right here, when we got this little uptrend and you get this blue shifting down, that's a sign of momentum in the same direction you've been traveling, because you already had the upper blue one and now you gained the lower one. That went off right here on this candle. The next candle, boom, boom. And the same thing applies on your algo charts. So you can find stocks that have a momentum in one direction or the other on a 5 or a 10-minute chart. Now I don't have a 10-minute down here. You can put a 10-minute in. I watch a lot of 10-minute charts myself intraday. See, this stock is grinding sideways, and it gave a double X cross right here on this bar. My system picked up the higher probability of momentum shift prior to, and it shifted the next bar and went down. Gave a double X cross right there. Something's about to happen. So this can just give you some stocks to go look at. That's what it's designed for, and you'll find some with momentum. It doesn't have any alert whatsoever tied to that. This is a good, if you're a day trader, it's a good late afternoon scan. Those stocks has been consolidating for hours. They got a tight 10 or 15 minute 5 or 10 minute chart of consolidation. When they start to break that consolidation, whether it be to the downside or the upside, they're gonna go double. They're gonna get double blue ones at that time. So that's what all these intraday tools are for, and many of the alerts and the other scanners are going to work like this. They're just not. They got more information in them as far as the criteria of the scan. And I just was trying to give you a short way to do this up here, separate from your other scans that are on your intraday, and that'll be in the next video you watch about your intraday and end-of-day big scanners. One more thing I wanted to cover in this video, and I know we've talked about it in others, but if you're a new trader, you might not have seen the other video yet. This is the first video I've talked about price and share size. Understand that these alerts aren't get in, it's not going to go back against you, especially if you're looking at a 50 algo chart. Understand what's going on here. For this to advance from here to here requires an algo that's 50 cents in size. Now, from the period of time that it's sitting here and it's trying to go in one direction or the other, it can move around. The bigger the algo, the more it can move around without plotting another dot connected to a line. From here to get to here requires another 50 cent advance. To make a reversal requires 2 algo levels, so that's $1 advance down here to make another line connected algo dot closed, a new current price. We have a new plot. So if it's 2 algos down, that's $1, or it's 1 algo up, that's 50 cents, then this stock can range 49 cents to the upside and 99 cents to the bottom side. That means this stock can move $1.48 without showing another dot on this chart. And that can happen when a stock's a lower ATR, it's not moving much, the market's chopping, and it can go sideways for multiple hours and never change a plot on here. This dot will be moving up and down with the price, exactly with the price. And you'll always know as it's coming down, what's it going to take to make the dot connect. That's what's in this box right here. So bear that in mind if you're day trading, especially, if you're on a 25 algo chart, then you've got 73 cents worth of possible movement in there. This is about trading. It's not about scalping. There's plenty of guys out there that scalp, rip roar, that you can follow if you don't want to find your own trades. If you want to scalp, you can use the dimer at least as a timing tool. And I want to go back to the VMW for a minute, because that was a stock that had a high movement this morning. I'm going to show you 2 charts here and I'm going to close this out. It kept selling off. All these were little fake bounces, fake bounces, fake bounces. And I believe maybe at this point it even gave a green zone long watch, maybe right in here. Of course it did here. But when it finally made the move after watching this thing for well over an hour, because we were watching it at 10 o'clock, it was already gone too far to chase, waiting on a retracement on the bigger time frame chart, and it just never gave one. It just kept going. If it ever gave a retracement right here, I'd have shorted it right up here and took the trade. It never gave the retracement. It was just so strong to the downside. So we waited and waited and waited, and finally took this trade. When I got this momentum and it stayed blue and this turned back up, and then by right here when this momentum came in, I knew what was coming next, and I was already in the trade prior to the alert going off. Also, looking at some other support and resistance lines that it had gotten to and tested, it went right down to a big daily line we were looking at and talking about. So we ended up, by the time it got here, it had the momentum, and it broke and ran. You can see this is 11.39. This is 11.39. That's only a dime now. 11.39, 11.43. So it got that momentum going. It took off. I was in it before it took off, but I was working these lines. But I'm very good at working these lines. When I got this uptick, and then I got this print, and this bar pushed away, I was in. And in 5 more minutes, it took off. With it, only moved a dime, and then it ended up moving about $1. I didn't short it at all. And another stock that was a huge sell-off today was Twitter, and it took forever to reverse. I don't even know if we're probably not even going back far enough on this chart. Let me let it load some extra bars. Do not change these bars. If you want to teach yourself, we have a teaching chart. I'm going to load 300 bars in here just so I can show you what the chart did. These are optimized on 100 bars. If you want to make you a teaching chart, I'll show you how to do it. Because sometimes people like to look at more history when they're learning. You see how this kept hitting and hitting and hitting and hitting. Every time somebody think it was going to go up, it didn't. But when it finally plotted the long watch on our system, is when it made the move. I got in it right here. I kept my tolerance. This was only about a 30-cent pullback. I stayed with it. You come back in here with momentum. It sat and sat and sat, and then it just suddenly, you see how all this took off in just a couple of minutes? This was huge, but I was already in it here. Now that is 1 o'clock. This is 1:15. This is 1:20. And then all of a sudden, it took off. You can't chase that stock. I was already in it. It came in with 200,000 and 600,000 and ended up being about 3 million shares. Ran this stock all the way up here for a really, really nice trade of over $1. This is 42.80. This is 44.60. That's almost $2. 200 shares, that'll make you $400. You don't have to trade big share size. If you want to fix yourself a learning setup workspace, take this same workspace that you're using, go in here and do we got this named My Day Trading Quad, one screen, or whatever one you've developed for yourself. I suggest you name it My something, because you're going to have a My End of Day, you're going to have a My Intraday. You're going to take those other tabs that I'm going to show you in the next 2 videos, and you're going to take some of those tabs out. You're only going to get your favorites. You don't have to scan everything. Scan what works for you. Find the setup that makes you money consistently and trade that setup. That's what you want to do, and be consistent about what you do. You can have more than one setup, but you don't have to trade them all. But you could take this same workspace, do a save as, and rename it My Teaching Quad, so you'll know that it's different, and then get your same charts in there. And I've popped this chart out so I can mess with it and throw it away. Take your charts, right click on them, and go load. And what we started with here was this 2-panel algo. That's a 2-panel algo. A 3-panel algo separates these 2 areas. Most people want to save room on their screen, so they don't want the 3, but there it is, separated. And then there's one in here called Teaching, STS Teach. Load that in after you get your other space. It separates those, as well as takes one that's invisible and puts it on your chart. What this is when this is up in yellow, that means there's a box over here that says 2x. If it's up in green as well, that means there's a box over here that says 1x. So everywhere you see these dots, there was a box. Right now, one bar ago it had a 2x only, and now it has a green. It means it has a 1x. The 2x is always there faded out. The 1x will, if the 2x is there by itself, the 1x will not show at all. If the 1x and 2x both happen to be bright white, which occasionally does happen in the script, 1x is what counts. Forget about the 2x. The 1x is one in play. What this allows you to do is go back and see places that you had pullbacks, but you had no arrow up or down, meaning you had no box here. And remember, I told you when a stock does a retracement and you don't have a box, it's a higher probability of a bounce. So that way you can study that and learn for yourself. That's what this teaching chart is about. And you can go back in a separate workspace that you create, load these templates in place of these other templates, and then go in and change your bars. Go to data series and change your number of bars to 300 or 400 bars. And then you can see more history for your study purposes. But don't do that on your regular trading, because you throw your charts out of sync. They're optimized to 100 candles. That's what you need to trade them on. So I'm closing this out. I'm not going to save this workspace because I want to unload all this stuff here before I get out. A small list doesn't hurt. That was a bigger list. If you got 3 or 4 stocks you're watching, you can leave them in there. That's not going to hurt anything. But always, I try to get my system back like I had it when I started this morning, other than I may have a few different symbols. Save your space. You go down to your scanners that you may have open, Intraday. Make sure you unload these symbols. You cannot have a huge symbol list and not dump them before you close. So you clean out all these big symbol lists that you may have in some of these scan tabs. You save this, you know it's empty, and you save it. And then when you exit, you don't save anything. You exit by hitting this close button. It asks you, you just say no to all, and you get those little pop-up boxes. Usually you got to hit OK on and then get out of the system at the end of the day. This concludes Best Practices for Charting Tutorial Series video number 3, Intraday Trading Utilizing Workspace Alerts and Tools Education and Training video. Don't forget, if you're not a member of our website, which is only open to subscribers of our charting package, that we do offer a free 14-day trial offer or a 30-day trial offer. You can find out more about that on the website activetradersetups.com. You can link from the products tab. There's several pages that talk about the charting package and the charts. And if you're going back trying to study these charts, there's a great tutorials on there for refresher courses for our newer subscribers as you're trying to learn the charts. It's like a written tutorial, and it's always there. And again, thanks for watching our video. Be sure to subscribe to our channel while you're here.